I've always wondered if it's possible to apologize as a family. If our family, our household is offended by someone else's family and household, can the whole family say, we collectively are sorry? Does that work? Does it does it actually mean anything? If a group or a tribe or a city or a county or a state or a country are offended by another country, does an apology at that level matter? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I mean, it would seem that after World War II and the bombs that were dropped on Japan, that America has spent millions, billions of dollars and millions of hours apologizing. I'm not sure that the actions of the Germans that were under Nazi control has ever been acknowledged as an apology, or that the actions of the Japanese, who had some of the worst torture of prisoners of war in the history of time. I don't know that those apologies have gone out. Now, I know there are individual stories, and this is kind of my point. There are individual stories of, there was a movie made, I can't remember the name of it. Unbreakable was one that was very close, of men who had been one the prison guard and the other the prisoner during World War II, and they've now, some 50 plus years later, come back together to say, I personally am sorry for what I personally did to you while you were a prisoner under my charge. And yet I wonder if that qualifies as a national apology of the Japanese people, or a national apology of even the government that was controlling the behavior of prison guards at the time. I mean, we do have things like Abu Ghraib, where individuals who served the American military acted like idiots, and it became a national blight, and we as America had to apologize on a national stage for stupidity. I know that there are apologies on a national, a racial, an historical level. I just wonder if they matter. Is it pomp and circumstance? Does that actually bring about change and transformation? I heard Dr. Ken Ulmer last night present a pretty moving presentation where he talked about the difference between our behavior and our attitude, which is something as a leadership coach that I spend a lot of time both coaching on and speaking on and training on and observing and researching. And as I listened to him talk about it, I also heard him say these words. Dr. Ken Ulmer said, I am a recovering racist. Meaning, I once was a racist, now I'm changing from that, or have been changed from that. The metamorphosis is still in process. Very fair statement. I think it's true of a lot of people in various levels of what we might call, from a religious term, sanctification, being made more and more whole, more and more right every day. I think that's a fair statement. I think it's a very reasonable statement. I think it's a very respectable statement to say, I am a recovering racist. I'd like to think that we all eventually reach a place where we say, I'm simply not a racist. Maybe at one time I had racist tendencies, but I am not a racist. I would like to believe that I personally, J Loren Norris, am not a racist. I see significant differences in ethnicities all across the world. I also see significant differences in culture, in language, in behavior, in relationships all across the world. In America, when two men are holding hands, it's generally a reference to their sexual relationship between those two men. Not so in the Congo. Not so in parts of the Middle East. If you see two men holding hands there, it simply means they're friends. They may both have wives of a different gender at home. That's not a racial or sexist observation. It's simply an observation of the difference of culture. Do I need to apologize for observing that difference? I don't think so. Does America need to apologize because that difference is observable? I don't know. Here's what I do know, though. Whether it's my family or my neighborhood or my city, county, state, region, country, race, which has caused offense, it's really hard for me to understand how, beyond the behavior, the thoughts, and the attitudes of an individual, that can be perpetrated and continued. Yes, I've seen the 1980s study on brown-eyed, blue eyes and how quickly one individual's discrimination, bias, opinion can spread. That is not an idea we're spreading. Racism. No. Neither is gender discrimination, nor age discrimination, nor religious discrimination. But the solution for them is not to condemn an entire society or nation or country or another race because, well, that would be racism. Doesn't that seem silly? But I think instead for us to realize that, like Dr. Ken Ulmer said, I am recovering from, I am making an individual recompense. I am making an effort to make individual reconciliation. I can't change what everyone else thinks. I will endeavor to influence it. But before I can do that, I've got to have a change of heart of my own. Dr. Ken Ulmer finished his presentation last night with the invitation for each of us to lay down those things that we have held on to for whatever reason, and to let them go and move on. That may be an addiction. That may be racism. That may be anger. It may be deep-seated hatred that you really can't even put your finger on. Something made you mad and you're not over it yet. But to lay it down and move on. And I find it complicated to comprehend that we could do that as a group. That as a group we could effectively apologize for the actions of an individual. I do find it deeply moving to see individuals who make an effort to reconcile with each other. And I do see that that individual reconciliation, multiplied 1,000,000 times over, has significant influence in the character of our world. My challenge for you today is to simply ask yourself, am I waiting for an apology from a group that may never come while refusing to apologize for my own individual behavior? Am I waiting for revenge or recompense at a national, global, racial, ethnic, religious level that in all honesty wouldn't make me feel any better because the individual who hurt me would still, quote, get away with it? And what would happen if I, as an individual, let it go and refuse to take offense again? Chew on that one for a while. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.